Well, hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. I have a very, very special guest for you this evening. This person is just one of the most amazing entrepreneurs I've ever had the fortune to meet. He has just been such an instrumental part of my life. He is a champion of people. He's a champion and an investor in people. You'll always find this man at our brand builders events, and when we run our incubators and our members weekends all around the world, you'll find him always in support of the members there. And quite often, and maybe you've been one of them, you'll find that he will just really solidly focus on your business and really work out, dig in, what is it that goes on behind your business? How can you really be that brand you want to see in the world and move forward further, faster? So it gives me great pleasure to welcome my best friend, my husband, my partner in so many amazing, joyful experiences, Mr. Greg Garrity. Greg, I'm going to welcome you to the screen. Hello.
Hello.
Well, this feels a bit weird being introduced on screen by your wife.
There's me looking very bashful on that nice little screen grab.
It is, yeah. Unfortunately, guys and girls, Greg's on the boat and he's in the boat, and I'm in London to run an event tonight. So he doesn't have great reception where he is, but the great news is we can hear him even if your screen is freezing a little bit. So yeah, this is quite an honor actually, because I don't usually get to interview my husband live to the world to talk about his amazing experience and the experiences that he's had that have led him to create not only 5 successful businesses. One of those businesses they built up to sell for over 11 million. And this guy just has this incredibly huge, enormous brain. And I think, he's just been in so much support of what I'm doing, and has traveled the world with me, building up Brand Builders Club, building up how to build a brand. And what you don't see is what Greg is doing in the background. You don't see the amazing work that he's doing and the incredible thought leading experiences that he's providing for other people. And so I wanted to dig in to Greg's brain today, and this is a good opportunity for all of you watching this now to ask my husband any question you have about him, about business, like what's it like to to be building your business and writing a manifesto at the same time as going around the world and living on a boat. Like, what's that like? So come and ask any question that you have, and definitely come and say hello. So Greg, obviously, we have the Brand Builders Club, we've got How to Build a Brand, but your real passion is in people, isn't it? You've got a very, very different mission, really, to Brand Builders Club. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I suppose, thank you for the amazing introduction. I'm sure whatever comes out of my mouth is not going to be justifiable now. But my passion is making sure that people are able to get the best quality of life that's possible, with an emphasis on ending the biggest cancer in today's society, which is loneliness. Mm. And I'm doing that in a number of different ways at the moment, which are on a slightly different paradigm to the way that they're being delivered at the moment. So I'm looking at changing the face of care services, primarily in the UK to begin with, but globally overall. And it's not going to be just as simple as transferring a budget from A to B, which is currently the model. It's a complete redesign from the people being served up. So that's my passion.
This is quite odd for me, because I see the makings and the background and everything that you're putting into the work that you're doing, because obviously we have this personal life as husband and wife, but then we have this this business, and we've got several businesses now that we're building globally, and and this idea that Greg came up with is not as a result of just seeing something and thinking, well, I can change that. You've got a lot of experience in the care industry, Greg, haven't you? Tell us a bit more about that experience, and some of the things that you've built and what's led you to this passion that you now have to bring this to the UN.
Okay, so over the last 20 years or so, I've worked very, very extensively with young people, adolescents, teenagers, children younger than teenage, in a variety of different care settings. Some of them were assessment units, some of them were outreach, but it was all about trying to turn around the circumstances that have led to the situation that they're in, change their mindset and move them forward. As a result of that, I started working with a leaving care organisation, and then went on to develop another model of leaving care, which became a regional service across the Northwest, working with something like 15 local authorities with 100 young people throughout the area, and also at the same time working with the elderly in a domiciliary basis, so working in the community with individual people in their own homes. And that's where I've seen the biggest weaknesses in our current model. The fact that it doesn't matter how smooth something can look on a business plan and how prepared and financially funded you are for any eventuality. The bottom line is the existing model just doesn't work. It's flawed. So you're always playing catch up, and you're always having to step away from people that are not getting the service they they've been promised or need, and you're having to spread yourself too thinly.
And that's going on in so many industries, isn't it? I mean, some of the experiences that you've talked about, just when you've been talking about the businesses that you built, and I find it so extraordinary that we're just living our lives, and yet there's this massive kind of void. There's a void. These people are just falling into the void, and you could see that void, and you set up several companies to make sure that people weren't dropping through that void. But the one thing that, obviously you built those businesses before I even met you. The thing that touches me so much was after your father, my father-in-law, had been in care. He'd been in a care home for a while, and I remember we were in Florida. We'd just finished running an event in Florida a few years ago, and you'd been talking to a friend of ours who had a virtual reality business, and it sparked your brain. All of a sudden, you were like, "Oh my God, how can we bring virtual reality and augmented reality and artificial intelligence? How can we bring that together and utilize the technologies that we have available so easily to us now and cure loneliness? Like, how can we cure loneliness?" Because I remember how we felt when we were going into that home to see Dad, and coming away feeling completely demoralized because there were so many people in the care homes that weren't getting the care that they deserved to have. I know how that affected you. So, where do you see this going? Especially on the face of entrepreneurialism, how can entrepreneurs also get involved in this? How can they support to join this mission that you're on?
That's a very good question. And I think in one respect, it's difficult for entrepreneurs to join a big, let's call it a movement for now, to join a movement like this, in that so many entrepreneurs excel at thinking outside the box, but are also personally driven. And for this to be successful, it's going to take an awful lot of people to be able to be a part of something rather than leading something.
Right.
And that's going to be difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs, because we make better chiefs than we do Indians.
That's a very true statement.
Yeah, and for us to be able to deliver the services that we need to deliver to ensure that society remains viable and fulfilling in the future, we all need to be able to get our hands dirty and work as equals.
In this changing world, I mean, if you think about it, like there's this age-old problem, right? We're always going to get old and we're always going to die. Like these two things are certain. And yet we have this kind of outlook, don't we? I know I certainly do. And until you were talking in the way you were talking, and I've kind of got behind what it is you're doing, you know, it's been quite a wake-up call to think, you know, well, it's great for us. We're just focusing on, you know, today's money, and we're growing our businesses. We're working hard to earn money, to live the life that we want. You know, we're following manifestation gurus. We're, you know, we're investing in ourselves. We're investing in our personal development. We're doing all of this, but actually we never ever think about, well, what happens when we get old? We're not seeing, because I guess we're not seeing it until it really is an experience that we've gone through, as you have gone through that, with so many hundreds of families, and also your own. So it became personal a few years ago, which makes it even stronger. The desire to change things becomes stronger, doesn't it, when it's right in your face?
It does.
But how, you know, I think it's really interesting, this almost dichotomy that we've got as an entrepreneur, to do good, and we want to help people, and we want to get out there, and we want to serve the world, and we want to, you know, be this amazing force for good in the world for everybody else. But we don't necessarily think about, well, what's going to happen to us when we get old? What's going to happen to our children when they get old? What's going to happen to our parents? You know, the parents that are still alive and thriving and surviving, like what happens to them? So, you know, this mission that you're on now, what is so amazing about that is, you know, we're kind of looking at all the people that are in that position now that are old, but actually what you're creating is something so much greater than that. You're gonna, like, our ancestors and their ancestors and their ancestors' ancestors will benefit from the work that you're doing now. How does it feel to think about the fact that you've got something so big? And for those of you watching this that have a big vision, right? How does it feel to have something of a vision that is so big that you're going to go and stand at the UN and stand as a force for change at the UN? I mean, like, what does that feel like when you think about that? Does it come easy to you?
I get nosebleeds.
Really?
No.
Well, I know a lot of people that would do.
No, I think it doesn't come easily. It doesn't come easily. It's not something I think is going to be easy. But what I think it is necessary. And because I think it's necessary, I have no choice but to do it.
Right. So it's like a compelling, like, it's part of you. You're just driven by it. You, even if you think about it and you think, well, I don't want to do that, it's almost like your soul's going, what do you think?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Very much so. Yes, these problems have solutions, and it's up to us to make those solutions as palatable as possible. You know, at the moment, if I was to present a paper on my thoughts and ideas, then a lot of them would perhaps be deemed outrageous. But the reality of it is, unless we start to incrementally change the way we live our lives, then we're heading for a crunch point on many different levels. You know, the fact that we have things like artificial intelligence taking over menial tasks, we're coming to a point where full employment is just going to be history. You know, we have too many people, and we will also, it's the nature of what we do. Businesses will try and cut profits, and we will end up with a lot of people who currently work 40, 50 hours a week, who may only be working 20 hours a week. So, you know, how do we deal with that? Because we can't stay with the same opinion that, oh my God, everyone's just lost hours, because otherwise then we'll have an entire country that's depressed and probably drowning in alcoholism and drug abuse. You know, we have to change the way we think about so many things intrinsically, and we have to start doing it now. Otherwise, when it comes to the tipping point, it'll tip the wrong way.
Yeah. And that's a scary thought, isn't it? It's very, very easy for us to kind of put our heads down and focus on what we've got to do today. But when we think about that, and the possibilities of that are actually so high, it's not like a maybe it will happen. Like we're heading for this, aren't we? Philippa,
Yes.
thank you for the comment. Philippa says, I worked in aged care for 12 years for an Australian company. It was a not-for-profit company, but it was constant scrimping and saving and government funding cuts for the company. They made their money by investing in real estate. I know you can associate with that, Greg.
Yes, indeed. And I think, one of the issues that we have, and I was talking about entrepreneurs essentially having to manage their egos to enable people to work together effectively. There's an issue with charities, because charities are all fighting for the same money. Therefore, they are each other's competitors. They're not working together. Even if they overlap, they tend not to work well together. And that's got to change. We've got to look at the way we are working. There are major changes to come, and it's not all going to be pretty, and it's not all going to be smooth, but they have to happen for the sake of a smoother future. We can hang on to the old ideals now. We can hang on to the old formation of systems like the NHS and the care system, but they won't take us forward. And it's not a case of just going, well, it's immigrants, or it's not enough funding, or nurses should be paid more. It's not that. It's a different way of looking at it that we need.
Yeah.
We need creative thought. We need people who are going to come up with original ideas, not just add-ons to the existing system. It doesn't work anymore.
Well, and you touched on something that I'm very passionate about earlier, which is, like there's so much change that's coming. I mean, especially like 2020. We're in 2020. Everybody's talking about this year of change. It's already been that there's been some enormous shifts. I've watched our brand builders shift massively, just even in the last like 4 to 5 weeks. And I don't know whether it's just, we're more conscious of something. Is it that we've all been waiting for the end of a year to go, oof, glad that's over, right? Next year is going to be brilliant. And therefore it is, because we're already thinking that it's going to be great. But you touched on something earlier that that I think is a real, and this is a key issue for entrepreneurs especially, is that more than ever before, and this is only going to get bigger, the bigger corporations, the bigger care companies, the bigger everybody, they're stopping employment now, right? They're starting to look at zero contract hours, especially in the care industry. I know that's a big issue. Freelancers, there's more contractors than ever before. There's more people who are losing their jobs than ever before. There's people who are setting up their own business without any business experience at all. And yet, these are people that are going to become competitors, aren't they? I mean, if you think about it,
yes,
all these people that are on zero contract hours don't want to do that anymore. They're going to set up their own business, and now everybody seems to be in competition with one another. I know that's something that you would really like to see, people working more in collaboration with one another, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, because it's an open market, okay? And you might turn around and say, well, if you've got the best service, if you provide the best service for the best amount of money, or you have the best staff, then you're going to thrive and your competitors are going to fall by the wayside, which is a win-win for you and the local authority you're working with. But again, all of those companies that are falling by the wayside have a good deal of very experienced and very caring staff that are getting mashed and lost as companies collapse. And they can, most people can only go through 2 or 3 company collapses and changeover of employer before they start to really lose heart. Because let's be honest, most care jobs are works of art, are works of heart. No one gets paid enough.
Yeah.
No one wants to do the antisocial hours if they've got a choice. They do it for the good of the people they're working with, whether they're children, young people, old people, people with disabilities, whatever. They do it because they care, and that's what we're surviving on at the moment. We're surviving on goodwill. We're surviving on goodwill from volunteers, and we're surviving on goodwill with working staff, and that cannot stay in place forever.
No.
Because people get tired, or your best workers, the people that have always shown the most goodwill, suddenly have family illness or whatever, a death, and they're not interested anymore. And then the whole service starts to fall down like a pack of dominoes. And that's where we're at. We've got no built-in resilience to the system, and we need to have that built-in resilience. And the only way we're going to get that is by changing the way we're working, changing the way we're thinking about the people that we work with, and coming together with a new model.
And I think this is really appropriate. I know that we, and thank you, Facebook user, it's coming up, Facebook user. I don't know who you are. Can let us know your name so that I can say hello personally. Because Facebook user says, I love this. I'm all about going global. Thank you so much. And works of art and works of heart. I love that. That's a really good one. I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna make that a screen grab because that's so beautiful. You know, I mean, this is something that it goes across every industry, doesn't it? This is, you know, it doesn't matter whether it's care, whether it's, you know, a cobbler, an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, a trainer. You know, these are key issues that are they're bad now, and they're going to get worse. And I think one of the things that you, as entrepreneurs watching this now, and business owners, need to really consider is, you know, these people that are going through the situation, that are looking after others, that are our earth angels as such. You know, as Greg said, like these people, they're brilliant workers, and but there's always going to be something that happens. And if there's something in their family, then your business will never come first. They've got to look after themselves. And there becomes a point where, like, yes, we want to look at collaboration, and we talked about collaboration a few moments ago, but you know, we do also have to think of our own health, don't we? Like, Greg, how do you see that, you know, as entrepreneurs, how can we be looking after ourselves when we're so much in service of others? Oh, Mary Frances, hello.
Hi, Mary Frances. How do we look? It's a very difficult balance. And I think, honestly, I'm not quite sure on the work-life balance thing. Having done this for many years, I have worked too much with no other life. I've done 12, 15 hours a day for months on end. I've been through the burnout. I think it's almost like, you know, a relationship. There's ebbs and flow in a relationship. Sometimes you're incredibly close. Other times you're a little bit more distant. Then you're really close again. Then you're slightly more distant. I think that's the same with work, especially with if you're passionate about what you're doing. Sometimes you're going to be doing full-on days and thriving on it because it's what you need to do, and you know you need to do it, and you know you've got to get that achieved. Then other days, or other weeks, it's going to be less so. You know, maybe it's an uphill battle. Maybe you've got local authorities that don't want to pay you for another month or something like that, and you're thinking, well, this is much harder than I want it to be. But that is life. The life is an ebb and a flow. It's not just about, you know, I would love to be able to say, yes, do you know what? I only work 2 hours a day and 3 days a week or something. But there are times when there are times when I work like that, and there are other times when I work all the hours that are available to me to achieve what I want to achieve, and it's the way it goes. And I think people have got to be realistic about that. You know, if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a young family, then it only works if you've got a supportive partner to be able to run with that. Your children, everybody gives to you, and you've got to be able to give back. So it's all about give and take. I don't think there's I'd love to be able to give you some amazing thing as to how you make sure you've got work-life balance. But I think there is a natural balance when you're doing what you're passionate about and when you believe in what you're doing.
I agree. What do you guys and girls think? What do you think about balance and work and life and business? Like I think it oh, it's going funky. I've asked many entrepreneurs that question, and I think that it's pretty much a similar answer for most entrepreneurs. That it's like it's all about your focus, isn't it? It's where your focus goes, where attention goes. That's where you're getting the results. And so many entrepreneurs are dividing their attention across so many things. Greg, what would you say is, as we come to the end of this, we've got about 4 minutes left now. As we come to the end of this interview, when did you know you were a change maker? Is this something that has always been inside you? Like, did you know when you were a child? Is this something that, just you through pure and hard grit and working, your purpose found you? Like, how did you know you were this change maker? Do you even realize that you're a change maker? Because you just do everything so naturally. Has this always been a part of you?
I think perhaps it has. I'd go as far as saying that I thought I was the odd one out when I was younger. As in, I was thinking the wrong way and I was out of sync with everyone else. And it was only as I got into my middle teens I realised that thinking out of sync with everyone else was actually a great gift, which I then exercised as often as I could. It makes it difficult for you to do anything other than be an entrepreneur, but I think I've always had it. But it's not just about having a skill; it's also about having the courage to trust. Trust. We don't trust ourselves enough. We don't trust. It feels like in today's society we trust all of the wrong things, and then we don't trust a lot of the right things. So we don't. People don't necessarily trust their gut feelings on things, but they'll trust Kardashian to endorse something.
Yeah.
We seem to have got things very mixed up, and it's only going to be by time and change, time and working with people that will allow that to change. And don't get me wrong, I made a joke about that. I don't really know who they are, as you know, but
you liar. You love the Kardashians.
trusting a Kardashian might not be a bad thing, but on the balance of probabilities, they're probably not going to be experts in the subject you're trusting them on. We've lost the ability to be able to listen to people's opinions and work out whether or not their opinion is worth following. We're too busy following the hype, and that's what politics, crimes, politics is going down the plug hole, isn't it? Because nobody now trusts politicians, full stop.
Right.
But I'm sure in all of the parties, there are stand-up people whose major strength is their integrity, who want to make better things happen for the people. But they're getting tarred with the same brush as the people we don't trust. We're just too quick to slap the paint on one way or the other. That's a trust, that's a no trust, that's a wrong, that's a right. There is more grey in the world than there's ever been. And we have to embrace that greyness until we find out what comes through, because we're making opinions too fast. it's all about the instant win. And you know as well as I do, the faster you make a decision, then the faster you waste money on it before you change your mind again.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I've not really given much in terms of advice, but you've got a better idea of how I think.
Yeah, definitely. I actually think you have. You've given a lot of golden nuggets there. You've got some great comments coming through, a lot of agreement. And, you know, and hi, Fiona. Hi, Philippa. It's good to see you. And Mary Frances joining us from Calgary. It's awesome. You know, I think, you know, so just as we start to wrap up, I mean, this is Confessions of a Global Changemaker, and you've shared so many beautiful things during this live interview, which, guys and girls, like, he didn't know that he was having this until about 5 minutes before.
This is true.
I'm like, right, get on the internet, because like I'm dying to interview you on what you're doing. And I know that if I'd have set up an interview with Greg even yesterday or a week before, he'd have been fretting about it and, oh, what do I say on this interview? So like and for those of you that have been interviewed already, you'll know I'm just literally, you know, most of the time, hey, you ready to go live this afternoon? You know, it's just, you've got to do it, because I think that's where we get, you know, what I want to do through the Confessions of a Global Changemaker show is really, you know, get you on the hop. Like, what comes from your heart? I don't want what's in your head. I want what's in your soul. I want to know, you know, what are those experiences that you've had that you haven't thought about and, you know, preempted and things. And so for me, it was like, this was the best way to be able to interview Greg, because for those of you that know Greg, you know, he's very much an introvert. He just he won't go out there and you know, do these interviews, although he knows that, well, you know, talking about you like you're not here, you know that you're going to need to do them, especially with the grand scale of vision that you have. You're going to have to get out there and do those things, and those of you watching this, you're going to have to do it too. You know, when you have a vision that's compelling you, that's pushing you, that's driving you, you know, and it's actually pulling you to the direction that you're called to go. It doesn't matter what you think or what direction you try and guide things, and you think, oh no, you know, I'm not ready for this, oh yeah, I'll just pare back a little bit, and your soul and the vision's like, I don't think so, come on. And it keeps driving you. And that's what's happening. And Greg, I can just see it's happening with you, and especially with us just moving now onto the boat. This is, you know, this is plain sailing for you. So many things are falling into place, and it's beautiful to watch this progress. And I'm just so honored and grateful that you supported me so completely and fully and wholeheartedly for so long. And you've been in support of so many hundreds of people. You've had hundreds of employees working for you in one time. You know, you've built so many incredible things, and now it's like, this is your thing, this is your baby. You haven't got anyone else interfering with it, and that goes the same for many of you watching this now. You've got no one interfering with it. This is your life, this is your business, this is your vision, this is your future, this is your soul calling you to get out there and be that global change maker that you are. Greg, if you could finish with one thing, what would be like one piece of advice you'd give to everybody watching this video now, where you'd say, do you know what? Like, this might be coming, but here's how you handle it, or here's what's happened to me, and you can do this. Like, what piece of advice would you give to all of us that are coming up behind you, about to go through some of those things you've been through?
I would say that just remember that no matter how hard it gets, how much you want to give up, or how difficult you're finding it with your family, always retain your integrity. If you retain your integrity with those closest to you and those that you're in business with, it will come round.
Big, enormous, giant one, that one, the integrity of that. And I couldn't agree more. And I think that when it comes to something that is of the heart, sometimes you can be surrounded by people who don't have that same heart that you do. And, you know, I mean, certainly with you know, I've had people around me that haven't been as supportive before. You know, my first marriage, that was not supportive. That was not in support of the vision. I was being called to do what was in my heart, and I didn't know where it was coming from. I just knew that I needed to do it, and that marriage didn't last. That's not to say that each of you go out, if it's not working for you, go out and get divorced. I'm definitely not giving you that advice. Put a big disclaimer on this now. But what I can tell you is that by ending those relationships that weren't in support of the purpose that I'm here for, I met this great man who's in front of you, who we've just had the pleasure of celebrating our 3rd wedding anniversary, our spiritual wedding anniversary. And to oh my God, to have somebody who so fully, completely and wholeheartedly supports you in that vision and mission. I know that I'm very lucky. I'm so filled with gratitude for that. And for those of you that are thinking, I want that, well, you can have it. And certainly within the Brand Builders Club, we actually have quite a few brand builders who don't have that support network at home. And we've become that family for them, so that, they're seeing that their relationship is completely changing outside of Brand Builders Club, because they're not looking to their partner for this kind of external validation that they're doing the right thing, because they've got all of that in Brand Builders. And then they go and they go home and they actually have a relationship with this person that they're with. So it's been a real honor to watch relationships blossom as well. And hopefully for those of you that are wanting that love relationship, and you look to Greg and I here, we're both building amazing things, we're doing amazing stuff, yet we still have our separate interests, and we have our interests together. I hope that if nothing else, we inspire you that business and marriage and relationships and fun and joy and freedom, they're all things that are completely available to you. Greg, thank you so much for hopping on with me at last minute today. I appreciate.
Thank you very much, as always.
I think this has been a brilliant interview, or even the more so because it's been completely from the heart. The whole thing has been completely from the heart. Somebody says here, I came late but so grateful. We'll listen to the whole thing later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sending you all of you loads and loads of love. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm interviewing the amazing Ruthie Doolittle tomorrow as our Changemaker for tomorrow's interview. This is a woman who is the real life Dr. Doolittle. She's the animal whisperer. I've just literally been with her for an hour this afternoon on Zoom, just catching up since the summit, and so many extraordinary things have happened to her in her life since she attended Vision, Voice and Visibility. Brand Builders Club members, you will see Ruth joining us very, very soon. I'm looking forward to interviewing her and delving deep, because she's been through some stuff, and I tell you what, she is a super inspiring woman. So come back and join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT. For those of you going through the sprint on cash flow in the Brand Builders Club right now, remember that we have the masterclass tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT time. So 7 p.m, that'll be 2 p.m. for you if you're on Eastern. It'll be 11 a.m, I believe, if you're on Pacific. And Mary Frances, for you over there in Calgary, I think that's going to be about 10 a.m. for you. So we will look forward to seeing you live. Actually, no, I got those times completely wrong. Mary Frances, I think that's going to be midday for you. So anyway, work out what time that is. It's 7 p.m. GMT, and we're going to spend a whole hour with Shazia tomorrow at 7. For those of you in the Brand Builders Club, really getting focused on your cash flow and hot seating you. You don't need to share your numbers. You don't need to do any of that stuff, but we want to make things so visible to you. Fiona, I loved your comment earlier. Fiona's been going through this sprint this week. Yesterday, the activity we got the Brand Builders to do, Fiona went and did that, and then went and saved herself. I think, did you say you saved yourself about £150 on just one of your bills because you had it in front of you and you were able to challenge it? And I think that's just so amazing that you're doing that so early. So this week is all about cash flow. Next week we're getting back on with prospecting again. So we've got another sprint. We've got 4 sprints in February. We would never usually do that. We usually only do 2 a month on the first and the third week of every month. But this month, because we ran the big challenge last month, we've brought those sprints into February. So don't worry if your head's exploding and your ears are bleeding because you've got so much knowledge and so much stuff to do. It's not usually this intense. So take care. Have an amazing evening. For those of you joining us in London at the Thinkubator this evening, I will look forward to seeing you in about 30 minutes time. And Greg, thank you again from my heart for being my best friend, my confidant, my champion, and I hope that you feel that I am all of those same things for you. I can't wait to support you getting your message out there to the world, and especially in front of the UN. So
Thanks,
take care. So I'll see you on the boat tomorrow, and guys and girls, I will see you when I see you. So take care, lots of love, and have a great evening.